Good evening. I am Arachna, the Spider People, your hostess with mostess. And welcome to Beware Theater, because this be where you're gonna see some really bad movies. We have vampires, werewolves, monsters, aliens, and of course, the undead. So take a load off, pull up a couch, and fasten your seatbelt. It's gonna be a creepy night. Tonight, we watch 1959 classic horror movie, The House on Haunted Hill. This movie was produced and directed by B-movie showman William Castle and stars a very creepy Vincent Price. You know, William Castle was known not only for his scary movies, but also for the gimmicks that he used to promote his movies. He wanted to scare the pants off everyone, and so he would invent Emergo, Illusiono, Percepto. Sounds like names of the Marx Brothers, doesn't it? But no, these were very successful gimmicks, and people flocked to his movies. This movie was so successful that even Alfred Hitchcock thought that he might make a low-budget horror movie, and he did. Anybody guess? Psycho. The House on Haunted Hill also starred a cameo appearance of the Innes Brown House. It was built by Frank Lloyd Wright in 1924 and appears on the National Register of Historic Homes. It was built out of concrete blocks, and it was designed to look like an old Mayan palace. And so he thought it was so creepy that he put it in the movie. But apparently he didn't think it was creepy enough on the inside to do the rest of the movie in there. So he did the rest of the movie on a soundstage that looked like your typical old Victorian mansion. The House on Haunted Hill is about this deranged millionaire who invites 5 strangers to a creepy old house and says that he will pay them $10,000 each if they will survive the night. Sounds like a pretty sweet deal. Go to a creepy old house that's probably not haunted and get 10 grand. Unfortunately, this house is haunted. Or is it? So besides possible ghosts, there's a falling chandelier, secret passageways, a severed head, booze and guns, ceilings that drip blood, and did I say a very creepy Vincent Price. So I suggest you snuggle up with someone warm and be prepared to jump out of your skin, because now we watch The House on Haunted Hill.
The ghosts are moving tonight, restless, hungry. May I introduce myself? I'm Watson Pritchard. In just a minute, I'll show you the only really haunted house in the world. Since it was built a century ago, 7 people, including my brother, have been murdered in it. Since then, I've owned the house. I've only spent 1 night there, and when they found me in the morning, I was almost dead.
I'm Frederick Lauren, and I've rented the house on Haunted Hill tonight so that my wife can give a party. A haunted house party. She's so amusing. There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited. If any of you will spend the next 12 hours in this house, I'll give you each $10,000, or your next of kin in case you don't survive. Ah, but here come our other guests. It was my wife's idea to have our guests come in funeral cars. She's so amusing. Her sense of humor is, shall we say, original. I dreamed up the hearse. It's empty now, but after a night in the house on Haunted Hill, who knows? This is Lance Schroeder, a test pilot, so no doubt a brave man. But don't you think you can be much braver if you're paid for it? And I happen to know that Lance needs the $10,000 I'll give him, if he's brave enough to stay all night. This is Ruth Bridges. You've no doubt read her column in the newspapers. She says her reason for coming to the party is to write a feature article on ghosts. She's also desperate for money. Gambles. You've already met Watson Pritchard, a man living in mortal fear of a house, and yet he is risking his life to spend another night here. I wonder why. He says for money. This is Dr. David Trent, a psychiatrist. He claims that my ghost will help his work on hysteria. But don't you see a little touch of greed there, around the mouth and eyes? This is Nora Manning. I picked her from the thousands of people who work for me because she needed the $10,000 more than most. Supports her whole family. Isn't she pretty? The party's starting now, and you have until midnight to find the house on Haunted Hill.
Well, where is everybody?
It isn't a very warm welcome, is it?
Only the ghosts in this house are glad we're here.
Are we all strangers to each other? Don't you two know each other?
I'm afraid I don't even know your name.
I'm Nora Manning.
Lance Schroeder.
Is Frederick Lauren a friend of yours?
I've heard of him, but I've never met him.
I work for one of his companies, but I've never seen him.
I've never met the man either. Just a phone call. Do you know him?
No,
Well, then you're the only one of us who does.
I don't know him. All the details about renting the house were done by mail.
He's quite wealthy, isn't he?
Millions.
And 5 wives, I believe.
4, I think, so far.
A $50,000 party for only 5 people is a little steep, even for a millionaire.
Well, if I were going to haunt anybody, this would certainly be the house I'd do it in.
Who closed the door?
This thing's made of solid steel.
Annabelle, our guests are here, unfortunately still alive. Is your face on yet?
Dust and dirt everywhere, and the water barely trickles. Couldn't you have had the place clean?
Atmosphere, darling. You know how ghosts are. They never tidy up. And that's a very fetching outfit, but hardly suitable for a party.
I'm not going to the party.
The spend-the-night ghost party was your idea, remember? Since it's going to cost me $50,000, I want you to have fun.
The party was my idea until you invited all the guests. Why all these strangers? Why none of our friends?
Friends? Do we have any friends?
No, your jealousy took care of that.
I had a reason for inviting each guest. I wanted kind of a cross-section. From psychiatrist to typist, and from drunk to jet pilot. They share one thing. They all need money. Now let's see if they're brave enough to earn it.
And you call this a party?
Could be.
Why do you always do that? It spoils the champagne.
It might explode.
Never does.
Will you guarantee that?
That isn't funny, Frederick.
Make a good headline. Playboy kills wife with champagne cork. Will you join me?
No, thank you.
Just a sip might improve your humor.
My humor is fine, thanks. And I haven't poisoned it.
It's always good to know that. Have some. You'll enjoy the party more. Go on.
Your trust is so touching. And I'm not going to the party.
Of all my wives, you're the least agreeable.
But still alive.
Would you go away for $1 million tax-free? You want it all, don't you?
I deserve it all. Your jealousy isn't tax-free, and your possessiveness is maddening.
If ever a man had grounds for divorce.
But can't prove them.
The time will come. You'll slip up one of these days.
Think so?
If I live long enough. You remember the fun we had when you poisoned me?
Something you ate, the doctor said.
Yes. Arsenic on the rocks. Annabelle, you'd do it again if you thought you could get away with it, wouldn't you?
Darling, what makes you think that?
Something about you. I hear that hanging is very uncomfortable, in case you get any more ideas. Now, don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you, darling.
Darling, the only ghoul in the house is you.
And don't sit up all night thinking of ways to get rid of me. It makes wrinkles.
This is what she used on my brother and her sister. Hacked them to pieces. We found parts of the bodies all over the house. In places you wouldn't think. The funny thing is the heads have never been found. Hands and feet and things like that. But no heads.
The wife, probably in a rage, threatened her husband with a knife and then, carried away by hysteria, took a swing at him and simply went on from there.
Well, she certainly went on. How many people did she kill, Mr. Pritchard?
Only 2. Her husband and her sister. No one else was here.
So there are two loose heads just floating around in here somewhere?
You can hear them at night. They whisper to each other and then cry.
Since our host isn't here, would anyone care to mix me a drink?
Certainly. What will you have?
Good evening. I'm your host, Frederick Lauren. Since we're all strangers to each other, let's get acquainted with a drink, shall we?
Mr. Lauren, I advise you to call this party off now. The ghosts are already moving, and that's a bad sign.
Let me apologize for my wife. She'll join us later. What do you have?
Scotch and.
Doctor?
I'll have the same.
Now, before the party begins, let's go over the details. The caretakers will leave at midnight, locking us in here until they come back in the morning. Once the door is locked, there's no way out. The windows have bars that a jail would be proud of, and the only door to the outside locks like a vault. There's no electricity, no phone, no one within miles, so no way to call for help.
Like a coffin.
So if any of you decide not to stay for the party, you must let me know before midnight. Of course, if you leave, I shan't be able to pay you anything.
I'm interested in your reasons for this, party. Aside from pleasant company.
Ghosts, Doctor. I think everyone wonders what they would do if they saw a ghost. And now my wife has given us all the opportunity to find out.
Amusing. Ghosts, etc., being only creations of hysteria, your party should be a success.
Well, Pritchard here promises us genuine ghosts.
7 now. Maybe more before morning.
That's cheerful.
4 men have been murdered in this house. And 3 women.
You planned your party very well, Mr. Lauren. 4 of us are men, 3 are women. Well, a ghost for everybody.
Well, Pritchard, why don't you take us on a tour through the house and let's see what happens, huh?
See that stain? Blood. A young girl was killed here. And whatever got her wasn't human. Don't stand there.
What do you mean? Where?
It's too late. They've marked you.
Ridiculous. The roof probably leaks.
Oh, that must be what it is. Who would want to haunt me?
I would say any self-respecting male ghost.
I hope it doesn't come back.
Well, Mr. Pritchard, you're the life of the party.
He hasn't even started yet. Wasn't there a man who threw his wife into a wine vat or something?
That was in the cellar. There's been a murder almost every place in this house.
So 4 random people. A gambling-addicted gossip columnist looking for a scandal, a psychiatrist who wants to observe people who are hysterical, a test pilot with nerves of steel, and a poor typist secretary whose meager salary is supporting her entire family. They're all contacted and invited by a man they don't know to go way out in the middle of nowhere to this spooky house for a party. And the rules are, the doors lock at midnight and don't open until 8 a.m., so you're trapped all night. And if you can survive, you get $10,000. But if you want to chicken out before midnight, you can, but you get nothing. Sounds like a pretty good deal. Also invited, however, is the alcoholic owner of the house, Mr. Pritchard, who says the house is haunted and that the 7 people have died in it already, and that the ghosts are looking around to kill more people. And 2 of his relatives were hacked to death with a butcher knife, and the one guy's wife got dissolved in a vat of acid in the basement. Yikes. Well, you'd have to pay me more than $10,000 to spend the night in that house, and I suggest everybody else leave because, well, it's dangerous. But you know, in these old horror movies, people don't do the sensible thing, do they? Nah. And what a toxic marriage the Laurens have. I mean, Frederick Lauren is filthy rich, but his last 3 wives died under mysterious circumstances. But his current greedy wife, Annabelle, has tried to kill him several times, unsuccessfully, because she wants all the millions, not just the $1 million he offered her to get lost. And Deadly, what are you doing with a calculator? What? What do you mean that I forgot about inflation? Oh. Oh. Wow, if your calculations are right, that $10,000 in 1959 would be worth $92,000 in today's money. Huh. Maybe I would spend the night for that.
All this belonged to a Mr. Norton, who didn't die here. He was electrocuted later. Mr. Norton did a good deal of experimenting with wines, but his wife didn't think it was any good. So he filled the vat with acid and threw her in. She was supposed to stay down, but the bones came up. It's a funny thing, but none of the murders here were just ordinary. Just shooting or stabbing. They've all been sort of wild, violent, and different.
Look out!
Thank God she didn't fall in.
You mean there's still acid in there?
Destroys everything with hair and flesh. Just leaves the bones. My, it's dry and dusty down here.
Well, there's a cure for that upstairs. Come on.
How'd you get invited to this party? No. Oh, go on. I mean, what'd he tell you?
Mr. Lawrence said everybody'd get $10,000.
But he didn't say anything about being locked in.
No.
He just made the deal with me on the phone, but nothing about having to stay.
Aren't you going to stay?
If I don't, I lose $10,000.
I'm going to stay, too. $10,000.
Yeah. You believe in ghosts?
I don't know.
Well, I agree with what that doc says. You can spook yourself. I've done it in planes. Seen things that weren't really there. Or were they? What are you going to do with your $10,000? If we get it.
What do you mean, if we get it? Won't he pay us if we stay?
Ah, sure he will. 10,000 is no more to him than a nickel is to us.
We were in an automobile accident. Now I'm the only one in the family who can make any money.
Boy, I've never seen so many doors. Closet? Bottles.
Does it go anywhere? Lance! Lance!
mean?
Please, come on.
Did she say Lance is gone? Gone where?
We'll have to break it down. It's locked.
Locked?
You all right?
Nothing that money won't cure. I must have bumped my head.
The only way you could bump your head in here is to run head on into the wall. You didn't do that, did you? Let's get a bandage on that.
I wonder why they didn't kill him.
Who?
He didn't bump his head. They hit him.
They?
Nora, when you came in, you said something about a ghost.
There was something.
What did it look like?
Well, it was wearing a black thing that went all the way to the floor.
Weren't you a little frightened at the time?
Well, yes.
That, Mr. Loren, is hysteria.
Well, then, Doctor, how do you explain what happened to Lance? Was that hysteria, too?
You better get that checked in a day or so.
Thanks, Doc.
The ghosts are coming closer, Mr. Loren.
You really believe in your pet ghost, don't you, Pritchard?
Before the night's over, you will, too.
Someone or something was in here when I came in. But where? And if the door was locked, how did it get out? What you saw might have been a ghost, Nora, but what was in here with me was no ghost.
I don't know. I was so scared.
Does it sound different to you?
Yes.
Three, 6, 9, 12. 12 feet. Three, 6. Now, I'm going to knock on the other wall. When you hear me, you knock on this wall. Tap lower down. Where'd it come from?
From in here.
What if it ran out of here? I'd have seen it.
Lance, it doesn't run. It just floats.
Yeah, but why didn't I see it?
You don't believe me.
Well, how can I?
I'm Annabelle Loren. You must be Miss Manning. I realize this is a very unusual and I'm afraid very dull party. Wouldn't you like to freshen up? This is your room. Depressing, isn't it?
I doubt if I'll spend much time here.
It's going to rain. Perfect atmosphere for my husband's party. Why did you come here?
He said he'd give me $10,000.
Why did he pick you?
I don't know. My supervisor just came and said I'd been invited.
How long have you known my husband?
I just met him tonight.
So? Why you? What were you doing wandering around by yourself?
Well, I was in the cellar with Lance, Mr. Schroeder, and I just left, that's all.
Don't do it again. Don't go anywhere in this house by yourself. Now fix your face and I'll come by for you in a few minutes.
But I...
You're in danger. We all are.
But who?
I hope for your sake you never find out. I'm Annabelle Lauren. Were you looking for something?
Not exactly.
Are you the doctor?
No, I'm Lance Schroeder.
The pilot. You've hurt yourself.
Oh, it's just a bump on the head. Which is my room?
I believe this is it.
Thank you, Mrs. Lauren.
Annabelle Lance. You were with the young girl in the cellar. Why was she so upset?
Was she?
And you don't look like the type to go around bumping his head. What really happened, Lance?
Well, Nora thought she saw a ghost, but I didn't see anything.
She was just frightened then.
And mad at me, I think. I kidded her about it.
I wouldn't joke about anything else that happens here tonight.
Now, don't tell me you're taking all this seriously.
Aren't you?
Well, I'd like to find out what hit me.
Lance. If I need help, may I count on you?
Yeah, sure, I guess so. Look, what's going on here anyway? I mean, what is with this party bit?
This is no party. He's planning something.
Your husband?
I wish I knew what it was.
Must be pretty big if he's going to lay out $50,000.
The money doesn't mean anything. He has a reason for getting us all up here to this dreadful old house.
Well, what for? He doesn't even know us.
Maybe that's exactly why you're here.
Well, what can he get away with?
Oh, he thinks that big money like his can get away with anything. You know, of course, that I'm his fourth wife. The first simply disappeared. The other two died. Lance, I don't want to join them.
You mean he,
Oh, his doctor said they died of heart attacks. 2 girls in their 20s.
Well, what can he do?
My husband is sometimes insane with jealousy. Nothing matters to him then. Please be careful.
Would he hurt you?
He would kill me if he could.
Annabelle, you're missing all the fun. Nora Manning was almost killed by a falling chandelier. The pilot bashed his head in.
Is he badly hurt?
The saturnine psychiatrist bandaged him up. Don't you want to go and console him, as you do most men, in your fashion?
You're so clever, Frederick.
Yes, I lie awake nights wondering why I married you. It was rather a mistake.
You didn't marry me, dear. I married you. Unpleasant, but no mistake.
Hurry up.
Frederick, for the last time, I'm not going to your party.
And for the last time, it's not my party, but yours. And you are going.
I am not.
You ready, dear?
No.
Are you ready, dear?
Yes, damn you.
Would you adore me as much if I were poor? No. All you want to be is a lovely widow. It's It's almost time to lock up the house. And then your party will really begin. I wonder how it'll end. It's close to midnight, Lance.
Okay. I'll be down in a minute.
Who is it?
Your host, my dear. It's almost midnight, Nora. We're all going to get together down in the living room.
All right, Mr. Lloyd. I'll be right down.
Come with us before he kills you.
I don't want to stay here.
Nora, what happened? That's Jonas Slides and his wife. They've been caretakers here for years. She's blind, you know.
I'm not going to stay here.
Well, Doctor, it looks like we have a real case of hysteria on our hands.
I think she's just a little upset, not hysterical.
Good evening.
Hello, my dear. This is my wife. These are our guests.
Get me out of here.
Now, what about the 10,000?
I don't care. He wants to kill me.
Who wants to kill you?
Mr. Lawrence.
May I have your attention, please? I think you all remember the bargain we made about staying all night. $10,000 apiece. If any of you don't survive, $50,000 will be divided amongst the rest of you. If I should die, you will be paid by my estate. When the door is locked from the outside by the caretakers, we'll all be forced to stay in this house until morning. If any of you decide not to stay, you must leave with the caretakers now. You won't have a chance to change your minds later, because there'll be no way to get out.
I don't want to stay.
Wait.
It isn't midnight yet. Who told them they could leave?
They never leave before midnight.
Well, they've gone now. I was going to ask you whether you wanted to stay or not, but it seems that the caretakers have made the decision for you. We're all locked in now.
But I don't want to stay.
And I'm sorry, my dear, but it's too late now.
So now everyone's trapped in the house, whether they want to be or not. But Nora had her chance to leave when that caretaker guy grabbed her and asked her to leave with them. But he scared her so bad she ran off. And then when the caretaker and his blind wife show up at 5 minutes to 12 and they leave and lock the door early, they never leave before midnight. Maybe the clock was wrong. Now everyone's trapped. And did anybody else think that the caretaker's wife looked familiar, like that scary ghost lady in the basement that scared Nora? And speaking of that, that's got to be one of the scariest scenes ever. I mean, Nora's in the dark with a candle. She slowly turns around and bam, there's this ugly old hag, as terrifying as anything I've ever seen in a haunted house. I do have to rate Carolyn Craig, the actress who plays Nora, as one of the best scream queens ever. I mean, her scream could make you deaf and jump out of your skin and curl your hair. Unfortunately, Nora seems to be the only one in the house that's experiencing any ghost activity. I mean, what with the chandelier, and then she opens her suitcase and finds a severed head. Is that one of the severed heads that Pritchard was talking about earlier? I wonder. Anyhow, whatever it was definitely a really bad fake. But I do give Nora points for spunk, however. Every time anything scares her or offends her, she runs away. And that basement is also really scary. I mean, what with all those doors and the gas lights and the vat of acid. Who does that? And Pritchard said that the previous owner threw his wife in there to get rid of her. So, counting the wife and that rat, I wonder who else got thrown into the vat. And Deadly, what's in the box? And it better not be a severed head. Okay, I'll look. Oh, it's only a severed hand.
We will all have to stay in this house until 8 o'clock in the morning. But we have some party favors for you in these little coffins. This is my wife's idea. I must say, I think it's rather dangerous. I suppose you all know how to use one of these things, but in case you don't, you just press down on this lever with your thumb and then pull the trigger. You see, they're loaded.
These are no good against the dead, only the living.
Doctor? Lance? Nora?
Go ahead, take it.
Miss Bridges? And here's yours, dear.
I don't need it.
It was your idea. Who knows, you may want to use it on me before this night is over.
Throw these guns away. They won't do you any good.
I agree with Pritchard on that point, although not for the same reason.
Dr. Trent, don't you approve of our little party favors?
Suppose Nora had had a gun when she mistook the blind woman for a ghost.
I don't think anyone else is going to walk around in total darkness.
Oh, I'm sure we're not going to go running around the house shooting each other, aren't you?
Who knows? Fear makes people do amazing things.
Mr. Pritchard, you said your sister-in-law killed a man and a woman here and cut them up? You said they found hands and feet, but they never found any heads. Would you like to see one of those heads? Would you all like to see one of those heads? Well then, just follow me.
Darling, I really don't need this.
Just go look in my suitcase. Just go look. But it was in there. A woman's head.
Nora, I think you're a little upset. Would you care for a sedative?
Get out! Get out, all of you! All of you, get out of here and leave me alone! Just get out of here!
Are you sure there are only 7 people in this house?
Positive, except for the ghosts.
I don't believe in ghosts, nor in frightening women. In Nora's case, it's gone far enough. Perhaps too far.
What do you suggest we do about it, Doctor?
Don't frighten her anymore.
Nora? 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 What do you know about this?
They've taken her. In a little while, she'll be one of them.
Where's Nora? Where is she?
It's too late. It's too late. You'll never find her again.
Pritchard, if you know where she is, you better tell me now.
She's gone. She's gone with them. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Lay her down. Nora?
She's dead, Mr. Lauren. Your wife hanged herself.
Suicide.
Nora,
Please hide me. Please hide me.
What's the matter?
Hide me. He tried to kill me. He grabbed me and choked me and put me in that room. And then he went away and left me.
who?
He thought I was dead.
Who?
Mr. Lord.
Are you sure about this?
I don't know. It was dark, but it must have been him.
Has anybody seen you since he left you?
I heard some people in that room, but I went by and nobody saw me.
Mrs. Lauren is dead.
But how?
Lauren said she committed suicide, but I think somebody killed her.
Him?
I'm sure you've come to the same conclusion I have.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, let's all have a meeting, discuss what to do. The living room?
Okay, in a minute. Go downstairs. Now, you lock yourself in here and don't let anybody know you're here. If he thinks you're dead, he won't come here. And I'll get back as soon as I can. You'll be all right. And if you have to, you use it. So beautiful. So greedy. So cold. What are you doing in here?
Wait. Don't wait.
What do you mean coming in here?
I didn't want them to take her away.
You're drunk.
They will if you don't watch her.
You're drunk. All right, out with it, Bridget. Why did you come into this room?
I'm the only one who understands.
Understands what?
Your wife isn't there anymore. She's already joined them.
Look, Bridget, I've had enough of your spook talk. Get out, you sot, and don't come back into this room again.
Where's what's-her-name? Nora.
I didn't disturb her since I don't think this concerns her.
No, you're right.
Mr. Loren, isn't there some way we can get out of this house now?
No, none at all.
We could try breaking out.
The only door to the outside is made of steel. The bars of the windows are set in solid stone. We gotta stay.
I'm not afraid of your ghosts, Bridget. But I am afraid. When we came here a few hours ago, the only thing we had in common was the $10,000 we'd get. Now, however, we share something else. The death of Mrs. Loren. So far tonight, one of us was almost killed by a falling chandelier. One of us was mysteriously slugged. One of us has been driven to the brink of absolute hysteria, and one of us is dead. Were these accidents? Suicide? And we must stay here for 6 more hours.
6 hours? 6 of us. Time enough.
Who'll be next? How will it happen?
Let me ask you a question, Doctor. You were the first one to see my wife there. Did you also see anything that she could have climbed up on and then jumped?
No.
Did any of you? There was nothing. How then did she get up there so high?
Exactly, Mr. Loren. How? She couldn't have pulled herself up there. She couldn't have dropped from the ceiling. Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Or you, Mr. Loren. To deliberately kill someone, you must have a reason.
We were all strangers to your wife. Only you had a motive for murder.
What husband hasn't at some time wanted to kill his wife? What husband hasn't had 1,000 opportunities to do it in such a way so that he'd never be suspected? I'm not such a fool as to hang my wife from a ceiling by a rope.
The fact remains that you, or one of us, murdered Mrs. Loren. And that's a matter for the police.
So how do we get the police?
That's my point. We can't until morning. What began as a silly party given by an eccentric has now involved us all in murder.
For once, Pritchard may be right. If another murder's in the works, let's stop it now.
Another murder.
Why not? Maybe one of us saw too much.
Why should even a millionaire want to give each of us $10,000 to spend one night in a gloomy old house? To see some ghosts, have a party? No.
Have you finished trying me, Doctor? And is the verdict guilty of murder?
Oh, this isn't getting us anywhere. Somebody killed Mrs. Lauren, we know that. One of us is guilty and the rest of us are innocent, okay. Now, what we have to do for the next 6 hours is protect ourselves from each other.
You really think?
I don't think anything. I just know that I'm going to my room. And if anybody comes in, I'll shoot him. Or her.
And if we all stay in our rooms, we'll be safe. Because the innocent will have no reason to leave his room. And the guilty will admit his guilt if he or she does.
And we all have guns.
And we're all agreed?
Oh, I wish this night were over.
Rooms? Guns? I tell you, it doesn't make any difference. They aren't through with us yet. What's the use of saying goodnight?
Good night.
Good night, Doctor.
So the psychiatrist says he wants to observe people who are hysterical. And at this point in the movie, everybody's nerves are on edge and their emotions are hitting the fan. So he's getting his wish. He also says he doesn't believe in ghosts, but he does believe that someone's trying to kill them all off. I'd say that that's paranoia, not hysteria, right? But I'm no psychiatrist. And poor Nora, she's starting to lose it. I mean, first she's almost killed by a falling chandelier, then she sees this scary ghost lady in the basement, and then a severed head in her suitcase, and then she says Mr. Loren tried to choke her to death in a dark room. Well, I'd be pretty hysterical by then myself. And Lance, even Lance is seeing things. I mean, he sees a severed head in the closet. Now, is that the same severed head or the other severed? Whatever. And then he sees dead Mrs. Loren hanging by a noose up in the stairwell. I mean, how could she have killed herself? The rope was tied off on the banister 4 feet away. She's 3 feet up in the air. And did she float up there and hang herself? No, she was murdered. But the question is, how'd they pull it off? And thankfully, Lance does not get hysterical when he sees that because, you know, he's this test pilot with nerves of steel. And Mr. Pritchett, no, he's not hysterical, he's just drunk. But he starts ranting and raving that the ghosts are going to take Annabelle away if they don't watch her, and then the ghosts are going to kill everybody else. So, it's agreed. Somebody is trying to kill them all off. But who? If there's a butler in this movie, I'd suspect him. But he left before the party started. So everyone decides that they're going to go to their rooms, lock the doors, and wait 6 hours until the doors unlock and they can leave. Why don't they just go downstairs and play cards or something and just so they can watch everybody? But no, that might be too logical. Instead, they're going to stay in their rooms with their guns and wait for something to happen. And things start happening. Like the first thing is the gossip columnist lady's ceiling starts dripping blood on her hand again. Honey, don't stand under the stain. Duh. I can just see her now. Out, damn spot. And yes, Deadly, I wonder if the party stores do carry these nice little coffin favors. I mean, they go over really well at a gun show.
Nora, it's me, Lance. You okay? They've all gone to their rooms and locked themselves in.
Lance, I've been thinking. It was so dark down there. Maybe it wasn't Mr. Loren.
It was him, all right. He tried to kill you, and he did kill his wife.
How can you be so sure?
She tried to warn me, asked me to help her. The doc thinks he's going to try and kill one of us. Now, there must be a way out of this place, and I'm going to find it and get the police before he does.
I'm going with you.
What if he finds out you're alive? No, Nora. You're safer here than any place else. Now, just lock yourself in and keep quiet. If I find a way out, I'll come back and get you.
An admission of guilt, Doctor?
Certainly not. There's either somebody else in this house or one of us has left his room. Did you hear anything?
Organ music?
That, and someone walking.
You got yours? Ready?
You look downstairs, and I'll look up here.
Why not together?
There may be only minutes, seconds left of someone's life. Why waste time? It's almost over, darling. Every detail was perfect.
What's happening?
We've done it. A perfect crime. Beautiful.
Has she killed him?
Not yet. But she will.
Get me out of this hanging harness. What's taking that girl so long? What time is it?
At first, I couldn't get Nora to want to protect herself with a gun. But after you appeared at the window, everything began to work just as we had planned. You were wonderful. Just the touch that finally drove her into complete hysteria.
It'll be worth all of our planning, darling. Where's Nora now? What's happening?
On her way to the cellar. So scared she'll shoot the first thing that moves.
And Frederick?
On his way to the cellar, too.
David, are you sure none of them will suspect us?
Of what? An hysterical girl accidentally shoots somebody? Who would suspect that we planned it that way, that we drove her to it?
What about my suicide?
But just a ghost party gag. We'll claim it was a dummy since I'm the only one who touched you.
And the caretakers?
Well, they had no idea what they were really doing.
What about Nora? She's not stupid, you know.
Darling, believe me, everything we've planned is working perfectly. Nora is sure Frederick murdered you. She thinks Frederick attacked her in the cellar, not me. And now Nora's almost out of her mind with fear. The heads, the music, you're hanging. I tell you, when Frederick walks in there, she'll shoot him.
It's taking too long. David, you ought to be there.
When you hear the shot, come down to the cellar.
David? David?
At last you've got it all. Everything I have. Even my life. But you're not going to live to enjoy it. Come with me, murderess. Come with me. Was indeed perfect. Only the victim is alive and the murderers are not. It's a pity you didn't know when you started your game of murder that I was playing too.
There must be some way to get in here.
Oh, it's right along here, somewhat.
Lance! I've shot Mr. Loren. He's down in the wine cellar.
Alive?
I don't think so. It's him. He's alive.
You didn't shoot anyone, my dear. I loaded your gun with blanks. I can tell you all now. Trent and my wife were planning to kill me. They failed. Trent tried to throw me in the vat. My wife stumbled and fell. I'm ready for justice to decide if I'm innocent or guilty.
Now they're 9. There'll be more, many more. They're coming for me now. And then they'll come for you.
So there you have it, another monochromatic movie marvel, and pretty scary. This movie teaches me to never accept invitations from people I don't know, and to not go to creepy old houses out in the middle of nowhere with no electricity. Wait a minute, isn't that the plot of practically every slasher movie? Whatever. This movie also teaches me to not underestimate the power of a beautiful wife in a sexy negligee, or a rich husband who's got a skeleton marionette. Right, Deadly? So until next time, or not, this is Arachna, the Spider People, wishing you nighty-night, and don't let any severed heads in the closet bite. I'm so glad there's an open house today. I've always wondered what this house looked like on the inside. Look, Deadly, look at that sign. It says that the house is haunted. How are they going to sell this house if they say it's haunted? Oh well, let's go in. What? The inside of this house is a creepy Victorian mansion. What's up with that? Look, Fred, there's a hidden passageway under the stairs. This is great. No electricity. We'd save a bundle.
Boggles the mind, doesn't it? That such a plain exterior could camouflage such a magnificent, creepy interior. Would you lovely people like a tour of the house?
Well, sure. I'm Arachna, the Spider People, and this is my friend Deadly. And we just live around the corner, and we've always wondered what this house looks like on the inside. I mean, the inside's quite different.
So you're just looky-loos, are you? Alrighty. Well then, give me that brochure back, and I'll recycle it. They're expensive to print, you know.
Okay.
And don't touch anything. And don't step on the X.
What X? Oh, Deadly, that chandelier almost hit us.
That's why you don't stand on the X. Every hour on the hour, that chandelier has a mind of its own. It crashes, disintegrates, goes back up, and does it all over again the next hour. The living can't be too careful in this house, if you get my drift. So, come on, let's start the tour.
Who lives in this place?
No one lives here at the moment. The previous owner put the house up for sale when his wife died under mysterious circumstances. Some say he threw her in a vat of acid in the basement. Others say the ghosts killed her. Maybe that's why they're so restless right now.
Well, if it really is haunted, how come you were able to put it on the MLS?
Oh, no problem. It's listed on the dark web under Zillow Thrill. It markets to special buyers, if you get my drift.
Oh, right. Somebody really special.
We've had over 50 showings and one overpriced offer. It's from a special buyer in Transylvania, but it's been a little tricky getting his money out of the country and converted into dollars. Is she talking about who I think she's talking about, Deadly? Oh, here's the library.
This room is perfect. I can imagine our coffins over there. No, they go over there.
Okay, this is the library. You can't think with that infernal organ playing all the time. All right, you ghosts, stop with the music. Thank you.
So who's playing the organ?
Just like the chandelier, it has a mind of its own. Let's keep moving in case they decide to do something else.
Let's go see the pool in the basement again. It's to die for.
Next, we go upstairs to see the bedrooms. We're going to use the back staircase because there's less ghost traffic back here. They say that different people died in each bedroom. Quite gruesome. We cleaned it up for the open house, just in case the health inspector comes. This was the owner's wife's bedroom. There's no bed because it was damaged beyond repair and nobody knows what happened.
Ooh!
Don't stand under the blood stain on the ceiling.
Where is it safe to stand in this house?
That depends on the ghost. Sometimes we never know what they're gonna do.
You certainly have lots of closet space. And skeletons in your closet.
Be sure to check out the laundry chute in the closets. You're not gonna find anything like that in any house today.
I don't see any laundry chute.
That laundry chute.
Hold on, I'll be right there. Oh, Deadly. Oh, let's get out of here. How can that be safe?
Well, it's safe enough for laundry, and if you're stupid enough to fall down it, that's your problem.
Deadly, let's get out of here. I've had enough. Is that the vat of acid?
Oh, that's our greatest feature. Everyone loves it. They think it's a vat of acid, but really it's just a jacuzzi.
What about those rat skeletons?
I put the rat skeletons in there just for fun.
What? Well, sitting in this jacuzzi hits the spot after a long, hard day of showing this creepy house. Plus, it's really good for your bones. No, Deadly, she means her bones. Get out of there. Skeletons.